There is a sacred rhythm guiding all human connection, a rhythm unseen, yet deeply felt. In the Jungian sense, love is not a coincidence, but a synchronicity, a meeting orchestrated by the unconscious will of the universe. When two souls are meant to meet, time itself bends to accommodate their convergence. The longing, the waiting, the apparent delays all serve as divine preparation. Many people rush love, forcing encounters, mistaking desire for destiny. But the wise soul learns to trust the unseen hands shaping every detail of her path. In divine timing, nothing is late, nothing is early. Every heartbreak, every silence, and every unexpected ending becomes a necessary part of the orchestration that leads the soul toward recognition not of another, but of her truest self through another. The divine plan does not operate according to human impatience. God's orchestration unfolds in layers of meaning, preparing each soul through trials, loneliness, and transformation. Before two souls can merge, they must first meet themselves, confront their shadow, heal their wounds, and awaken to consciousness. Jung once said that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. This transformation cannot happen prematurely. Divine timing ensures that when you meet your soulmate, you are no longer searching to be rescued, but are standing in your wholeness. In that maturity, love ceases to be a fantasy. It becomes a mirror for your evolution, a symbol of inner balance manifested in human form. Every soul that enters your life before the true one is part of the cosmic rehearsal. These are not mistakes, but divine appointments, messengers of growth. They come to show you where you are still fragmented, where you fear intimacy, or where you have mistaken attachment for love. In Jung's language, they awaken the unconscious forces you have buried, forcing you to face your deeper patterns. Through them, God refines your heart, sanding away illusion and ego until you are ready for the real encounter. By the time the true soulmate arrives, you will have already learned that love is not about possession, but about resonance, not about clinging, but about awakening. Divine timing ensures this understanding takes root first. When divine timing is at work, you often experience long seasons of solitude. It is in these quiet spaces that your soul is being prepared. The loneliness you feel is not punishment, it is initiation. God is teaching you to find peace in your own presence, to hear your inner voice, to build a sanctuary within. Jung called this the process of individuation, the path toward becoming who you truly are. Only from this space of inner completeness can true love be recognized. When you are no longer seeking to fill a void, your energy shifts. You stop chasing and begin attracting. Divine timing brings love not when you want it, but when you are ready to hold it without losing yourself in it. There is a mystery in how two souls are drawn to one another. They may live oceans apart, yet invisible threads begin to pull them closer. Signs appear, dreams, repeated numbers, symbols, or déjà vu, moments, all whispers from the divine. Jung called these experiences synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that bridge the gap between the seen and unseen. These signs remind you that love is not random, but guided by forces beyond your comprehension. Every small alignment, the chance meeting, the shared glance, the inner knowing is part of a divine map unfolding with perfect precision. The more you surrender to this mystery, the more effortlessly the pieces fall into place. Divine timing is not passive waiting, it is active faith. In divine timing, delays are sacred. They are not denials, they are preparations. God delays your meeting because your vibration must rise to match the frequency of divine love. The soulmate you seek is not an escape from your journey, they are the mirror that will reflect the truth of your spiritual maturity. Jung taught that love awakens both light and shadow, and the one destined for you will mirror both. If you are not prepared to face yourself, the connection will collapse under the weight of projection. So God waits until your soul is strong enough to love consciously, without fear, without illusion, and without the need to control. When that readiness ripens, divine timing moves with unstoppable force. There is beauty in looking back and realizing that every detour led you exactly where you were meant to be. The relationship that broke you became the catalyst for awakening. The silence that once felt unbearable became your training ground for faith. Divine timing always reveals its perfection in hindsight. Jung believed that what the unconscious desires will manifest through events until awareness dawns. In this way, even heartbreak is sacred, for it redirects you toward your highest alignment. The divine waits patiently until you understand that love is not a goal to chase, but a reflection of your inner state. When you heal, when you surrender, when you rise, love finds you effortlessly. To trust divine timing is to release control. It is to understand that your timeline is not God's timeline. In a world obsessed with immediacy, patience becomes an act of rebellion and faith, an act of power. The old soul knows that rushing divine timing only leads to lessons repeated. Jung said, "What you resist persists." The more you grasp for love, the further it slips away. But when you trust, you enter the flow of grace. Life begins to orchestrate meetings and separations with elegant precision. You start to see the divine logic behind every moment, why some people had to leave, so you could make space for the one truly meant for you. Divine timing also teaches humility. It humbles the ego that believes it can control fate. It invites surrender, not weakness, but alignment. When you stop insisting on your own plan, you begin to witness the greater design. The heart learns to rest, the mind learns to trust, and the soul learns to wait without fear. Jung believed that the soul speaks through symbols, and divine timing is one of its greatest teachers. It teaches you that there is meaning even in delay, purpose even in pain. When you are finally united with your soulmate, you will recognize that the wait was never empty, it was holy ground, preparing you for the sacred exchange of two awakened souls. And so, divine timing is not about luck or coincidence, it is the architecture of destiny. Every meeting, every separation, every moment of longing is a thread in the tapestry of your soul's evolution. The soulmate you are destined to meet has been walking their own labyrinth, facing their own shadows, guided by the same invisible hand. When the moment arrives, it will not feel forced. It will feel like remembrance, the quiet recognition of something ancient. Jung might say it is the union of two individuation journeys, merging into one shared consciousness. And when you stand before them, you will finally understand. It was never about waiting for love, it was about becoming it, so that divine timing could reveal what was always meant for you. The soul recognizes itself through reflection. Every person you meet is a mirror. Some reflect your beauty, others your pain, but all are sacred instruments in your evolution. Jung taught that the outer world is a projection of the inner world, and every relationship reveals the hidden landscape of your psyche. Your soulmate is the clearest mirror of all. They do not come merely to comfort you, but to awaken you. Through them, you confront the truth of who you are, the unhealed wounds, the unspoken desires, the parts you've abandoned. Divine love does not flatter the ego, it exposes the shadow. Yet in that exposure, you begin to remember your light. The one meant for you will not just see you, they will reveal you. showing you the vastness of your own soul reflected in their eyes. The mirror of the soulmate is not gentle at first. When you meet them, your entire being stirs. Old patterns surface, fears ignite, insecurities tremble. This is not chaos, it is cleansing. Jung believed that the unconscious strives for wholeness, and love is its chosen path. The soulmate acts as the catalyst, stirring the depths where your forgotten self resides. What you once hid in shame, they bring to light with tenderness. The attraction you feel is not merely romantic. It is magnetic recognition between two souls who once shared the same divine essence. Through that mirror, you begin to heal the war between your inner masculine and feminine, a reconciliation of spirit and form. Many believe love should be peaceful, but real love disturbs before it calms. Jung wrote that the meeting with oneself is, at first, the meeting with one's own shadow. The soulmate mirrors this confrontation. They make you face the truth about your boundaries, your attachments, your emotional depth. You will see in them both your potential and your resistance. When they pull away, it mirrors your own fear of intimacy. When they come close, it reflects your longing for union. The mirror does not lie, it only shows you what you are ready to see. That is why some run from true connection, because it reveals too much. But the old soul, weary of illusion, welcomes this mirror as a sacred initiation into authenticity. To truly look into the mirror of another soul, you must first abandon pretense. The relationship becomes a temple where truth is worshipped. No mask survives here. Jung called this the withdrawal of projections, a process in which you stop blaming or idolizing and begin to see the other as they truly are and yourself as you are. Your soulmate teaches you this art. They dismantle fantasy, replacing it with conscious love. You stop seeking perfection and start honoring reality. Their flaws no longer threaten you. They become part of the divine symmetry that makes them real. The more you love them without illusion, the more you discover the hidden harmony between your two souls, the balance of opposites, the dance of light and shadow. In this mirror, you find not just reflection but expansion. The soulmate relationship stretches the limits of your emotional and spiritual capacity. It demands surrender not to another person, but to the truth that love is not possession. Jung saw love as a path toward individuation, the process of becoming whole. Each encounter with your soulmate brings you closer to this wholeness. Their presence awakens your dormant gifts, their absence deepens your faith. Even separation serves as reflection, showing you that love exists beyond physical proximity. When the mirror is cracked by distance or silence, it teaches you resilience, reminding you that the true reflection of love lives within, not outside. The mirror of the soulmate is also a window into eternity. When you look into their eyes, you often feel an ancient familiarity, as though you've known them across lifetimes. Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, the shared memory of humanity. Through this lens, soulmates are archetypal mirrors, manifestations of the eternal lover that dwells within us all. Their face awakens a memory older than time, a recognition that transcends logic. It is as if two fragments of the same soul have found each other again in the dream of existence. And in that meeting, you sense God not as doctrine, but as presence. Love becomes the language through which the universe remembers itself, but mirrors can distort if not cleansed by awareness. Without consciousness, the soulmate bond can turn into obsession, dependency, or illusion. Jung warned that when we project our ideal image onto another, we fall in love not with them, but with our own reflection. The work, then, is to reclaim these projections, to see your soulmate not as a fantasy, but as a teacher. When you stop idealizing, you begin to love more purely. You realize they are not your salvation but your reflection. They do not complete you. They reveal that you were whole all along. This realization transforms the relationship from attachment to alchemy, from need to sacred union. The mirror of the soul also demands compassion. What you judge in your partner often mirrors what you reject in yourself. If they are distant, perhaps you fear vulnerability. If they are impatient, perhaps you suppress your own frustration. The enlightened heart learns to interpret every reflection as a message. Instead of reacting, you respond with curiosity and grace. Jung described this as the birth of consciousness, when you stop seeing the other as the enemy and recognize them as a mirror of your inner world. The soulmate's purpose is not to make you comfortable, but to make you aware. Through awareness, the mirror becomes luminous, transforming pain into wisdom and conflict into connection. Ultimately, the mirror of the soul reveals the most profound truth. Love is the highest form of self-knowledge. When you truly see another and allow yourself to be seen, you participate in divine creation. Two consciousnesses merge, not to lose themselves, but to expand into something greater. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." The soulmate is the mirror through which you realize this privilege. They show you the sacred geometry of your being, the hidden order behind every emotion, the divinity encoded in your flaws. Through their reflection, you rediscover the face of your own soul, radiant, whole, and eternal. And when you finally learn to see without projection, without fear, without the need to fix or possess, the mirror becomes clear. You look into their eyes and see God looking back, the same divine spark mirrored in two bodies, two journeys, one eternal essence. The soulmate is not an ending, but a beginning, a revelation of unity disguised as love. Jung might say that in this recognition, you have touched the self, the divine center of your being. The mirror of the soul was never meant to show you another. It was meant to remind you of yourself. And in that remembrance, love ceases to be a story. It becomes the living reflection of eternity within human form. There is a language older than words, the silent current that moves beneath thought. Jung called it the voice of the self, the whisper of the divine that speaks through intuition. It does not shout, it guides. It appears as a knowing, a pull, a subtle warmth in the chest that tells you, this is right. The inner signal is how God speaks to the soul, bypassing logic and entering through feeling. When your intuition stirs, it is the unconscious aligning with divine intention. Most ignore it because it contradicts reason, but reason was never meant to lead the heart, it was meant to serve it. The soulmate journey is written in intuition. You don't meet them through plans, you meet them through resonance. The deeper you trust this quiet guidance, the more clearly the universe begins to arrange itself around your truth. The inner signal often arrives like a whisper at the edge of awareness. You might feel drawn to a place, a person, or a moment without knowing why. Jung believed that the unconscious communicates through symbols and sensations, not logic. When you feel that magnetic pull towards someone, it is not coincidence, it is a sacred signal from your deeper self recognizing a reflection of destiny. The universe does not shout its intentions, it hums them through intuition. To follow that call requires courage, for the path it leads you on rarely makes sense to the rational mind. Yet every great transformation begins with a single intuitive step into the unknown. That's how divine love finds you, not through control, but through surrender to that mysterious voice within. The voice of intuition is soft but relentless. Ignore it, and life begins to echo its message through circumstance. Follow it, and your path unfolds with effortless alignment. Jung spoke of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that occur when the inner world harmonizes with the outer. Intuition is what makes that harmony possible. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. When your intuition tells you there's something about this person, it's not fantasy, it's memory. Your soul remembers connections the mind has long forgotten. Trusting that memory does not mean idealizing another. It means honoring the sacred conversation between your higher self and the divine. Every intuitive nudge, every unexplained attraction, every peaceful knowing is part of the map that leads you home to your destined reflection. But to hear the inner signal, you must first quiet the noise. The world teaches us to seek validation, logic, and evidence, yet the soul moves through silence, feeling, and faith. Jung often warned that modern man had forgotten how to listen to his soul. The old soul remembers. She creates space for stillness, for dreams, for sacred solitude. It is in these quiet moments that intuition speaks most clearly. Sometimes it speaks through dreams, revealing glimpses of what's to come. Other times it moves through déjà vu, that strange sense of "I've been here before." The truth is, your intuition is not predicting the future. It's remembering your soul's divine contract. Every signal it sends is a reminder that your life is unfolding exactly as it was meant to, not by chance, but by design. Intuition is love's compass. It warns when energy feels wrong and glows when alignment is near. Before you meet your soulmate, your intuition will often whisper their presence into your awareness. You may feel an unexplainable connection to their name, their essence, or even their energy long before the physical meeting occurs. Jung believed that energy transcends space and time. Souls communicate in dimensions beyond the material. When you feel the pull, don't dismiss it. The inner signal is God preparing your heart for recognition. Yet, to interpret it correctly, your intuition must be purified from fear. True intuition feels calm, steady, grounded. Fear shouts, intuition whispers. Fear demands, intuition invites. Learn this distinction, and you'll never mistake anxiety for guidance again. There is also a divine rhythm in how intuition reveals love. It doesn't give you the full picture, only enough light for the next step. This is God's way of teaching trust. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Intuition is how you walk that path. Each time you listen, you deepen your relationship with the unseen world. The more you trust that inner voice, the more fluent you become in the language of spirit. Your soulmate may appear not when you expect them, but when your intuition has led you through enough inner growth to meet them consciously. That is divine orchestration, not random meeting, but synchronized readiness. Love becomes not something you chase, but something you recognize through the clarity of inner knowing. Sometimes intuition will lead you toward pain, not peace, and that too is sacred. Jung taught that the soul does not seek comfort, it seeks wholeness. Your inner signal may draw you into relationships that expose wounds needing healing. These experiences are not mistakes but mirrors. Your intuition doesn't always lead to immediate happiness, it leads to truth. The pain you encounter through following it is often the very doorway to awakening. Each time you listen, even when it hurts, you strengthen the bridge between your human self and your divine self. Eventually, you realize that intuition was never about avoiding difficulty, but about guiding you toward the transformation that prepares you for divine union. The more you honor your intuition, the more your outer life becomes a reflection of your inner harmony. People who live disconnected from their intuition live in confusion. Those who listen live in flow. Jung described this as aligning with the self, the divine center that knows your true path. When you follow your intuition, your steps are guided even when the destination is unclear. You start encountering synchronicities, repeated symbols, dreams, or faces that feel like messages from heaven. That's not coincidence. It's confirmation. Your inner world and God's plan are now in dialogue. The same voice that leads you toward healing also leads you toward the person who mirrors your highest self. In this way, intuition becomes the sacred GPS of the soul's love story. Yet intuition requires faith in mystery. There will be moments when it leads you away from what you want, or into silence where no answer seems to come. Trust that silence it is not absence, but preparation. The divine often hides its greatest blessings behind uncertainty, testing whether your faith is rooted in evidence or in the unseen. Jung said that intuition is perception via the unconscious, meaning it comes from a place beyond intellect. To live intuitively is to live in partnership with God, to let your soul, not your fear, make decisions. When your intuition tells you to wait, wait. When it tells you to move, move. The more you obey this sacred rhythm, the more gracefully your destiny unfolds. And when the moment comes when your intuition whispers, "This is the one," you won't need proof. There will be a stillness inside you, a peace beyond logic. Your heart will recognize what the mind cannot explain. That is the signature of divine alignment. The inner signal will not scream, it will glow. Jung might say this is the moment when the conscious and unconscious unite, when your soul recognizes itself in another. You'll realize that every whisper, every dream, every nudge was leading here all along. Intuition was the divine thread weaving your story, connecting your growth, your healing, and your love into one luminous design. And in that recognition, you understand. God never hid your soulmate from you. He simply waited until you could hear the voice that would lead you to them. Before love arrives in its divine form, the soul must be tested. Not to punish, but to prepare. Jung believed that love at its highest demands consciousness, and consciousness can only be born through confrontation with the self. The soulmate you long for cannot come into your life until you have faced the parts of you that would destroy that love. God does not withhold what you desire. He withholds it until you are capable of sustaining it. The test of spiritual readiness is this sacred refinement, the purification of your energy, your attachments, and your illusions. Every heartbreak, delay, or disappointment becomes a spiritual rehearsal for divine union. Love is not simply found, it is earned through awareness, through growth, through surrender. Only when you can hold love without fear of losing it does it finally appear. Most people believe they are ready for love when they feel lonely. But loneliness is not readiness, it is a call to heal. Jung wrote that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The unhealed parts of you will always attract mirrors of your wounds, not reflections of your wholeness. This is the essence of the test. You will meet people who awaken your insecurities, ignite your shadow, and challenge your ego. These are not mistakes. They are divine teachers disguised as lovers. They arrive to show you where you still cling, where you still fear, where you still hide. Until those lessons are learned, divine love cannot enter, for the vibration of love cannot coexist with the frequency of fear. The test of readiness is often disguised as delay. You may wonder why love hasn't found you yet, unaware that God is protecting you from premature connection. Jung called this the process of individuation, the soul's journey toward wholeness. You must become who you truly are before your reflection can appear. Divine timing will not unite you with your soulmate while you are still fragmented, still dependent on another for meaning. You are asked first to become your own anchor, your own sanctuary. Solitude becomes the classroom of the spirit. There you learn to sit with your pain, to love yourself in your own company, and to cultivate inner peace that no one can take away. When you no longer need love to feel complete, you become ready to receive it purely. This readiness is not perfection, it is awareness. Jung taught that wholeness is not the absence of flaws, but the integration of them. The spiritually ready soul does not hide her shadow, she befriends it. She knows her fears, her triggers, her emotional depth. She no longer seeks someone to rescue her from herself. She seeks someone to grow alongside her. The test of readiness asks, can you love consciously? Can you hold space for another's humanity without losing your own center? Can you see beyond projection and illusion to the sacred truth of the other? Until these questions are answered through experience and reflection, the divine holds love back not as punishment but as preparation. Sometimes God tests your readiness by removing what you thought you couldn't live without. The person who leaves is not a loss. They are the instrument of awakening. Their absence becomes the fire that burns away attachment and illusion. Jung wrote that there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Through heartbreak, you learn discernment, the ability to distinguish between love and longing, truth and fantasy. You begin to see that real love is not emotional chaos but spiritual calm. What once triggered desperation now awakens surrender. This is how the soul graduates from the classroom of illusion. You stop chasing validation and start embodying truth. Only then does divine love approach, not to fill you, but to reflect your transformation. The test of spiritual readiness also challenges your faith. When nothing seems to happen, when prayers go unanswered, when your path feels empty, that silence is sacred. It asks whether you trust divine timing even when your desires remain unmet. Jung believed that meaning is born from enduring the tension between what we want and what we must become. That tension is alchemical. It transforms longing into wisdom. Each time you choose faith over frustration, patience over panic, you expand your capacity for love. The universe measures readiness not by how deeply you desire love, but by how gracefully you can wait for it. Those who rush miss the sacred preparation that would have made them capable of sustaining divine union. At a certain point in your evolution, you will notice that your standards change. The soul no longer craves intensity, it seeks peace. Drama loses its appeal. You stop confusing excitement with connection. Jung taught that the soul seeks balance, not extremes. The test of readiness is complete when you no longer crave love as escape, but as expansion. You begin to recognize that divine partnership is not about two halves completing each other, but two wholes reflecting wholeness. You no longer settle for fragments because you have become whole within yourself. This quiet transformation marks the crossing from karmic love to divine love, from need to purpose, from illusion to truth. Those who pass the test of readiness often experience a strange calm before their divine counterpart appears. It is as if the soul knows the storm has ended. You begin to notice synchronicities, signs, and subtle confirmations, the universe whispering, "It's almost time." Jung called these synchronicities the outer manifestations of inner readiness. The world outside you begins to mirror your inner peace. Your energy becomes magnetic, not through effort, but through authenticity. People feel your light not because you seek attention, but because you radiate wholeness. In this state, divine love cannot miss you. The soulmate destined for you is drawn not to your perfection, but to your peace. And when the true connection finally arrives, you realize that the test was never about finding love, but becoming love. Jung believed that every outer experience is a symbol of an inner reality. The soulmate is the symbol of divine union within the meeting of your conscious and unconscious selves, the marriage of spirit and form. The readiness you cultivated allows you to receive without fear, to give without losing, to love without clinging. You no longer chase, you recognize. You no longer doubt, you know. The test has refined your heart into gold. Love no longer consumes you, it illuminates you. That is divine readiness, not a state of perfection, but a state of peace. In the end, the test of spiritual readiness reveals the most sacred truth of all. God never withholds love, he aligns it. Every delay, every heartbreak, every silence was your initiation into consciousness. The soulmate you are destined to meet has been undergoing the same purification, learning, healing, growing, waiting. When you finally meet, it will not be the beginning of your story, but the continuation of two journeys that have been converging since eternity. Jung might say that your union represents the reconciliation of opposites, heaven meeting earth, soul meeting soul. And in that moment, you will understand. You were never waiting for love to arrive. Love was waiting for you to be ready.